but fuck you is also satisfying. I mean, a lot of people.
Yeah, you
I
know,
mean, you over there have the oxygen coming out
fuck
of the
you,
nose,
Brian
be
Hill,
like, you're a
bitch.
horrible parent, you would never that,
I
and
don't
fuck
appreciate what you
you.
did. Yeah,
Good, done.
yeah.
And then the flat line goes, and then we go and celebrate,
Oh,
and
and
no,
then you
that's
just kind of, kind
yeah,
of walk
no,
off.
no, but it's really making peace with whatever. But
Don't hold back how you feel. Welcome to the platform for the misunderstood and creatives alike. So roll a joint and pour a shot. You're listening to the Dash It Out podcast, the show that brings your after hours talk to daytime. No wrong opinions and all unfiltered. With your host, Vic Tor.
Don't mind me, everyone. I'm just working on my pre-photo shoot for when I become an all-new daytime or nighttime talk show host. They always posing with the glass, with the suit and tie, though. Just fucking around. Anyway, so welcome to an all-new episode of the Dash It Out Show. Yeah, so with this all-new episode of the Dash It Out Show, what would you do if you were to never see heaven? Well, that's the book for my all-new co-host, Garrett Garland, who is also happened to be a former listener of the Dash It Out Show, and we love that, right? With a background of writing, acting, and improv, he's here with us today to talk and speak about his journey and creative process. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this shit and welcome our co-host, Mr. Garrett Garland. Hi. How you doing? Can you hear me? Are we on the same page?
yeah,
Perfect,
yeah.
perfect. Okay, so I went ahead and introduce you, Garrett, to everybody. So, how are you doing, for one?
It's a beautiful sunny day here in Northern California, so that's good.
Good for you. Cali is sunny. Of course, it's sunny in Cali. Well, it's a little cloudy here in New York, and I think it's actually about to pour down soon, but it's been raining for the past few days here.
Grew up in
You love
Connecticut,
New York?
but my dad's from Jersey and Connecticut, but we used to take the train in like every Christmas and, you know, have like tea at Barney's when that was still a thing. Peace. But
Nice.
anyway,
I hear an accent. I hear an accent from you. You say you're from
it was
Connecticut?
just, oh, right. I grew up in Southbury and then I lived on and off for a while, and then I'm recording my audiobook,
There we
and
go.
now I'm just stuck with this voice. Thank God I'm married. Don't have to explain myself to anybody.
Yeah, we have a really distinctive voice, and I definitely hear the English accent. So you're in Cali, which is nice. Like I said, I'm in New York, but I went ahead and introduce you to everybody here on the show. Can you just go ahead and kind of little elaborate as far as who you are, what you're about, and also I just want to say thank you for being a listener to the Dash It Out Show. Just scrolling through, I was just like, okay, you caught my attention with that. I was like, he's definitely gonna get onto the show.
I
Definitely wanted
always,
to speak to you about that.
Garrett Garland, I wrote this lovely book called To Never See Heaven. But I thought, like, when I was like about the age of 7, I wanted to be a history professor. I thought I'd go into academia. And I studied French, intellectual history, studied French for like 6 years. And then once I got to Paris, I was kind of very disillusioned by the whole idea being in an archive. I love research. I'm like a perpetual student, but I was sort of just waited from spending the rest of my life in cabins and bibliotheques for the rest of my life. And so then I decided to write instead, and I started writing it in like 2014, and I did not finish it till around the pandemic. And then I spent a year editing and then hawking it, and then when I finally, for those who ever want to go into writing, I suggest be an actor instead. Well, no, because at least you get to go.
Why?
Well, because you get to go in, and then you at least get to see each other. I mean, you spend years. It takes years to complete something for most of us. I mean, I love those writers who can sit down and just type and from 8 to 5. Most artistic people don't work that way, but you have to complete something, and then it gets sent to this anonymous ghost, and you don't really get to know why. And usually, you have a query letter and a few pages, and that person decides whether or not to even consider seeing 5 more chapters or even a manuscript. So at least if you're a singer or actor, you get to go in the room and and you know what your competition is, and you know what you're up against, but you really are just banging your head against the wall. And that's probably why most people have a novel in the drawer somewhere that they've started. Also, I wrote everything by hand. About 12
Oh,
journals.
okay.
Yeah, I'm like an old lady. I have a typewriter. I have a teal rotary phone. I wrote with a fountain pen. Quentin Tarantino actually does the same thing with his own movies. Not that I'm Quentin Tarantino or anything, but I wrote them all by hand, and then my wonderful husband transcribed all of them for me. That's the
Oh,
way
that's your
I
creative
had to do
process.
it. That's the way I had to do it. And
Yes.
as far as you'll have to ask me a question or something, because I'll just keep talking on and on. So
Shut up!
I mean, hey, you're my co-host. You're my co-host, so I don't want this to feel as though it's just like a one-way street. Far as I'm
no,
just
but I
asking you
will keep
questions
talking.
and
You don't
questions and
understand.
questions.
I,
But
I will. I'm like sharks. If
definitely.
I like sharks, if they stop swimming, they die. If I stop talking, I'm kind of like a shark.
Right. Okay, and they're always moving forward, and they're always moving forward.
Right.
Well, far as questions, since my awesome co-host, Mr. Garrett Garland, already insisted. Okay, so let's go into further detail as far as your book, Never to See Heaven. What is the premise? And yeah, what is the premise of the book?
The book starts. You already that it's an already aged old albatross of an associate professor and his older husband, who's chancellor of the university. Well, he usually gives the commencement address, but unfortunately, his husband is dying. So Anthony Schrader must take up the mantle and complete this commencement address. But he feels like, once he completes it, it's like the completion of life. And and anyone who's ever had to deal with anyone with any sort of terminal illness, they have good days and bad days. And so he sort of lays next to him, and it's one of the good days, and he's like, "Do you remember Paris?" And he goes, "Of course." And he's like, "Tell me about it," just to sort of kind of pull him back. And then it goes back to Anthony Schrader, an adolescent, moves forward. So it starts sort of at the end. You already know that. It's on the back of the book jacket. And then you see how he's born into an air of privilege, teen, growing up in a conservative private school circle, excommunicated by parentage. There was also
Hmm.
indiscretion made by a family member, and to get away from them, he goes abroad and his pennies and discovers what public university is like. And along the way, he meets Sir. But it's all done in the right way, because it's not until after
Okay.
of
Hit me
so there's
with
no
the
abuse of power dynamic. I would say this is not Lolita.
Okay. Okay. I do love it. That's a very interesting concept. So it seems as though it's based around the present, and it continued to navigate from the present to the past, and kind of
Yeah,
summon everything up to where they're at in the very
about
beginning of the
addiction,
story, which is
catharsis,
very interesting.
because you don't realize, no matter how far across the globe you go, those demons do kind of creep up on you. I mean, I know nowadays we like the word trigger a lot, but I think sometimes trigger isn't necessarily doing something similar, or like seeing something on the television that mirrors something that's happened to you. I think it's brushing your teeth, and all of a sudden you go, "What the?" Can never really run away from it. It's like a demon in the mirror, I suppose. And so, even though he has people around him who loves him, not the family who disowns him, but the people around him who loves him, and also, if this is the great love of his life, then obviously you can't on anything else unless you heal that other part. So, and then also, I just love writing about historical places that there's such a great history. They're so rich in character and flavor, and there's a lot of little places and restaurants and shops that are all very real, that actually exist, that haven't changed in like 300 years, same owners.
Yeah.
Coupe, it's like one of the oldest restaurants in the world, and they have different rooms. That's like the Benjamin Franklin room and the Rousseau room, and it's exactly the same as it was. It's been opened and owned by the same people since 1686, I think. So it's fun to also write it and set it in certain scenes. Also, they do say write what you know. Not that it's autobiographical, but I do know what it's like to grow up and live in Paris, and so but I also think write what you know. I mean, G.R. Tolkien languages and his battle scenes were based on his time in the trenches in World War One, and a lot of the languages are variations on Welsh, and even the towns of the Shire and things are Welsh.
Yeah, that's the arc of the Lord of the Rings books, everybody.
Welsh villages. So I think sometimes people confuse write with like write a biography. It's like don't, and to be banished Oprah from the planet, like the guy who wrote A Million Little Pieces. I mean, even if you call it a memoir, which gives you some latitude, people were like, no,
so you said write what you know.
Write what you know, like to influence you. Not like exactly. I mean, Jack Kerouac wrote On the Road, which was basically his experiences growing up in the beatnik era, making his way down from I forget where through Mexico and back. I mean, but of someone like a J.R. Tolkien, which clearly he didn't grow up in Elf, but he still wrote what he knew based on his time in World War One and based on like the upbringing he had in the Welsh countryside. Also, I think another thing, write what you know.
The thing is,
you have to cut me off. See, I'll keep talking.
You elaborate but the thing is, what you're saying, write what you know. Is that kind of similar to like you think art imitates life and life imitates art? So
I think it can. I think writing
how do you feel about that?
I think writing what you know is a good place to start, because then you'll know if you have crap. Because if you can't even write what you know, then certainly you can't just see like, I want to write murder mystery. Sometimes you have to kind of start with your things, and if you can extract the details of remind you and the places that surround you and actually turn out a story that people want to keep reading. I mean, for example, also, I think Stephen King in his on writing book that he wrote, it was for writers, and he had a line in there. It said, "You can't be afraid to kill your darlings." Meant by that is like not every page that you write is going to be golden. My title, I changed it 3 times. Title was like something in Latin. I thought it was so. No one got it. I mean, I sent 5,000 queries. It was like dead. Then I changed it again. Then I sort of, to a close group of family friends, I'm like, here's 20 titles, and ever sort of landed around the To Never See Heaven title. And that was the title. And that after another 5,000, then maybe you got 10 bites out of 5 of those 10. Then maybe they want to see a few chapters, and then 3 or 2 are like, actually, we'd like to proceed. And then you pick, and then you go with the best deal, or, whatever's best for you, like the timeline that they want for you and everything. So I think also life can imitate art, but you can't be afraid to fat, as it were. Otherwise, because some stuff you just don't need.
We're trimming the fat. But it's some things you don't need, but it's some things that you definitely need to say. Now, as far as writing what you know, you said, in your bio, you sent me, and I quote, "I want to give any and all insight into the process of writing, the rewards and the difficulties." Can you elaborate on this process?
Well, I think I don't even have most of any person that discipline, but you have to complete something. You actually have to do something. I think it was when Jean-Paul Sartre wrote Nausea, his conclusion, even though he wasn't sure if God existed, was that you should create something to leave your own signature on the world. Since God's not come down and signed the ocean and the oak tree and the grass himself, then if you paint it or you write about it or you set it to music, then you are putting your own mark on the world that gives you a quality of existence. So I think actually complete it, make your mark and actually complete the work. And then also said, it must be so nice to go to an audition room. At least you get some kind of feedback, hopefully. But, you have to really just trust your instinct, but then also have a sort of intuition. Like I talked to husband and friends, like I was like, no one's getting this first title. It was called like The Sun Warms Everything, Omnia Sil, but it was written in Latin. I was like, I don't think people are getting it. And so like you have to like realize what's not working, or also like if you hand someone like your manuscript, right? And then they're like, okay, but right around here it gets so boring. Actually the first chapter, like when I wrote my book, and it opens on this premise of the professor has to write this commencement address, husband dying, that didn't exist. Started actually on chapter 2 where they're like just in school and you're getting to know everyone sort of that way. It doesn't actually, I added that later. And then when I added the idea, it was only like a page. And then one of my friends, and she actually designed the cover. She's an artist herself, but she's like obviously very visual orientated. And she said, I can't get it. I get the premise that he's dying, blah, blah, and you're trying to cut it quick. So then we keep going. But she's like, I need more. So the first chapter got extended to like, what, 5 or 10 pages or something like that. Yeah, you have to, everything you're going to write is going to be wonderful. You should definitely have people be like, you have talent, however, and then be willing to cut or add or change. I mean, even the most famous books like Gone with the Wind, she says the line, tomorrow is another day, multiple times throughout the book, and it's the last line of the book, oh, tomorrow is another day. It would have been perfectly cute and fine, but the publisher said, no, that one sentence, this is what you're going to call the book. And then it still outgrosses Avatar, When Adjusted for Inflation. That being the movie, but still is still one of the most bought books on continued reprint. So you have to be willing to adapt and change. I think this is the summary of all of what I was trying. Adapt and change, and really listen to feedback when people are like, this section's boring, or they're like, I don't get this, because you have to figure from a marketing standpoint, and the majority of people who actually read books are usually women in sort of a housewife bracket, like 35 to and up. You know, a lot of books that become famous, like not Go Ask Alice, Still Alice, and even 50 Shades of Grey. That was all because of a women's book clubs. So you have to be willing to realize, you know, I understand it. Is Mary Jo in going to get what I'm trying to say, and also making it universal.
I mean, that is the overall, like you said, overall, that is the most important part. Like one that everyone is going to grasp your idea and your concept. And I really feel as though, like you say, you got to be open to constructive criticism. You can't be like, okay, well, this is my way. This is how the hell I want to do it. That's that. No, you got to be open to constructive criticism. Because last I checked, no one got anywhere in life without the help of somebody, without the need to have to delegate a certain situation. Like you had your good friend who did the artwork. If you had it within your bones and blood to be able to do your artwork, you would have did your own damn artwork.
Even the cover was supposed to be different too. No, and that's a good point, because even the cover was supposed to be different.
Everything came together.
I think it was supposed to be.
The fact is, like,
go ahead.
No, I was just pretty much tied together as far as what you're saying is that, you know, be open to the process and don't get complacent, and be open to change, especially with this constructive criticism when it comes to your
also
work.
It must be harder for authors because, like I said, what they do longer to create. So I think a lot of people are very protective, and they don't want to cut or change anything. I mean, even with this cover, it was actually
kind of comes with the territory.
It's 2 oil canvases that are actually put together. Like you can see when you open it up and you press it together, it comes together. Yes. But I wanted to put this sort of bird in the center of the pupil. Time we came up with like sort of a check mark of a bird or something like that. And it was like, well, then all you go is to this, because there's this one famous scene that my friends make me quote at parties about this, look at the birds. It's like sort of a long sort of almost. Anyway, so I had this because one of the titles I was going to call it like, Should Birds Perish? And it's like, there's a lot of bird imagery in my book. I live next to the ocean. It made sense. But every time, you know, I remember it was like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and then we're just kind of like, you know what? It's beautiful without it. Because then all you do is look at this. And then there's also the idea behind it, you know, to never see heaven, because the clouds and the iris matched perfectly to the perspective of the clouds on the book. She did it to the scale. She's very. I
Nice.
wouldn't even have. That was all her.
That is very transcending, Garrett.
Miss
That
Hillary
is very
Crivello, good for you for
transcending. I
making
think
that
that was
decision. Yes, but I couldn't have done that. That was people help you too.
right.
People help you too. You know what I mean? Because a
Yeah,
lot of
exactly.
people. I remember taking it in because I remember that we had to scan the images because it was oil. It was oil painted canvas. I had to scan the image. I had a deadline. It was still wet. She even diluted the oil with flaxseed because apparently that makes it dry faster. She
What?
she went to art
Like
school. I
flaxseed
didn't.
oil?
Yeah, flaxseed oil. You mix it with the oil and it makes it dry
Like
fast.
actual flax seeds or
No, flaxseed oil.
Like, did she use like actual flax
No,
seeds?
she.
Okay, I'm about to say that makes
No,
more sense.
it's oil painted canvas, and then you apparently use flaxseed oil and mix it in, and it helps it dry faster. Still a little bit.
You heard all that?
What?
No, I was telling the listeners, telling the Dash fam. Did you hear all that shit? So for all the
Yeah,
artists
write it
out
down.
there,
I'll give you the recipe.
you can mix flax seed oil into your
oil
painting,
paints, yes.
into your oil painting, and it would dry so much quicker. So you can go sell it real quick. Make that quick buck real quick. You know how we do it.
I mean, like podcasts.
Okay, so let's move it along. So good question. So you made mention of childhood trauma and addiction earlier, as far as was happening in the book, and how these impactful moments happened in your life that inspired you to create this novel. Like, what is the symmetry as far as the addiction aspect, the childhood trauma aspect, and also dealing with sexual orientation, all them aspects all those are reflected in this book?
Well, I would say, from my perspective, because most people, all of us, we all have two parents, mother and father. And on one side of my family, you could clearly see how generational trauma affected everyone from great whoever down to one of my parents and their siblings. And you could see because of the abuse they were on their household. And as an adult, stages, I mean, because when you're young, 5, you don't know anything, but as you get older, to see like the spurts of when it's affecting them. And sometimes a lot of it has to do when also one of their parents die, because now there's no one to yell at anymore. I'd say witnessing sort of racial trauma and that effect, and then that's also explored in the book is that a lot of people defend and go back to their abusers. So that's something not I have personal experience, but something that the character does, partly because at the time he feels he has nowhere else to go. So I think and sometimes depending on what the podcast, the theme, or what they want to talk about, like sometimes I'll be asked, oh, like when's a good time? Like what would your advice be for people who are out? And not just because of it's in the book, but I would say, you only come out to your nearest and dearest. And if mom and dad aren't going to handle it very well, you never put yourself in physical or financial detriment. I mean, wait until they've paid for medical school, and then you can tell them you're queer. Like, you never put yourself in don't put yourself in a financial.
Protect your money, y'all.
Well,
protect your money, protect your mind.
The only way they can hurt you.
Protect your sanity.
If you're 16,
typically, yeah.
I mean, you're 16, 18. If they want to kick you out of the house and you have not a nickel to your name, I mean, that's a great threat to try to force you to go get conversion therapy. I mean, this happens.
You're old enough to like dick. You're old enough to make your own money.
I'm sorry. What?
I mean, but no, I get exactly what you're saying.
That's my next tattoo idea. I'm right there with you. So in terms of coming, so then to tie that up, the unfortunate thing is some people experience trauma at different points of their life. If your sexuality is already established and something traumatic, like an assault or something happens to you, that doesn't really affect you. If you are groomed, abuse within a family or an institution like a church or school or something, then once you come to sexual maturity, confuses the nature of your sexuality, because not that it influences it, But one of the struggles the character, and I think anyone would come with, you're like, if that didn't happen to me, would I be like this? And the thing is, you'll never have the answer. Now, obviously, people are born the way that they are and they grew up that way, but if nothing happens to them, they never have to reconcile that question. It will always be there. I mean, when you're at a certain age prior to sexual maturity, the consequences are so much worse because you're not a person yet. And then there's even people who are straight who then may even think they're gay, depending on the sexuality of the person who's doing the abusing. But some people, even if they are who they are, gay or something, then they weren't really able to discover it on their own and themselves through a loving relationship first. That was taken from them.
Exactly.
So that's also something.
Forced, and yeah.
So to be rejected by family,
real talk,
and then struggle with your sexuality, and then reconcile the abuse. One, I guess maybe that's why it took so long. I wanted to explore all those things, and I tried to do my best because I also could see what the consequences would be for somebody who does not. I feel like I saw that a little bit in some extended members of my family, like, oh yeah, they came from an abusive family and now they're alcoholics. And they're still alcoholic and the people that just scream out, they're all dead. So, and all you're left with is the ghost in your mind. There's a great book, I don't know if it's still in circulation, but I remember reading it a long time ago. It's called Toxic Parents. And one of the things that it talks about is that it's just a mother who called you fat your whole life, maybe a father who abused you, an aunt or uncle who sexually abused, whatever it is. Once that person dies, the child in adulthood will usually bottom worse than while they were dealing with it as the person was alive and as they were growing up. As there's no forgiveness is supposed to help you, not the person who's wronged you. But basically, if you don't deal with it, and sometimes it's like, I will never talk to you ever again. Just be able to say that, because some people are never going to change. I mean, that's just the way, unfortunately, it is.
Closure.
But at least
it's not just the fact that they died; it's the fact that they haven't gotten that closure. So because they haven't gotten that closure, it's this constant need to try to heal, but they can't heal because they haven't confronted, their abuser. So I can definitely see.
I mean, forgiveness would be nice, but fuck you is also satisfying. I mean, a lot of people, whenever they have the oxygen coming out of the nose, be like, "You are a horrible parent. You were never that," and
I don't appreciate
fuck you.
What you did. Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
And then the flatline goes. And then we go and celebrate, and
you just kind of and walk off.
No, but it's really making peace with whatever.
That's badass.
I make a lot of jest about death, but we're all gonna experience it.
Hey, you gotta laugh at the shit sometimes.
We're all gonna get to know the secret someday. I mean, there's so many religions on the planet. Some of us are going to be right, and a lot of us are going to be very, very wrong. I mean, we're going to get up there and like, share your God? I had no idea.
Do you believe in love? I believe now. Thank you.
Beautiful voice.
I didn't know there was really anything.
You actually have a beautiful voice.
Oh, thank you. I just had a little blushing moment there.
I mean, it was really nice. I mean, some people tried to sing to me on my podcast, and I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. I didn't say that. So I guess for the other people who did sing and I didn't say anything, I guess now they know how I feel. But I did compliment. Sort of a biting
quick question. Do you have any questions for me? I kind of want to turn the cameras around to you. I mean, to me. Let's flip them around to me. So do you have any questions for me as far as like the show, what's going on in my life, X, Y, and Z, like, you're my co-host, so you get to ask me questions.
Well, I suppose,
brand new
in terms of like, I guess, how you identify and everything, did you find it harder in a minority community to make those sort of declarations, at least in the one that you grew up in, or did you find it like interview so many different artists of different walks of life and everything. But do you find that you find certain communities struggle with it more than others?
Certain communities and identity, I'm kind of confused as what exactly are you saying?
Remember, I was on a podcast, and like the one guy was talking to me, and well, he was gay, and he said, like, for like being in the Latino community, I guess he was Black and Latino, and he said, oh, it was so hard coming out. He's like, I think they're finding out now. He made the joke. I think they're finding out now on the podcast as I'm talking to you. And then he's like, haha, no, they've known for 10 years. But
honestly, okay, now going there when it comes to like sexuality, quite frankly, I mean, I didn't really feel the need to say anything, honestly. I mean, my thing is, like, I just did what I did. And if you didn't like it, you didn't like it. My thing is, look, okay, I have a natural bold personality. I'm kind of out there, and I consider myself eclectic. So it was like, it was never really a question. It was just, that's just Victor. That's it. Like, oh, that's just Vic. So it wasn't like I had to prove a point, because I'm the type of person that I stay unbothered. I can give two fucks, I can really give two shits. So, but my thing, if you ask, like, far as my sexual orientation, I'm like, yeah, I'm bisexual, demisexual. I like to get around. I have a lot of fucking sex, and a lot of fucking sex. Okay, even the throubles.
I was actually a late bloomer. Okay. I didn't make the realization until later in life. 17.
Yeah, it was.
I love the people at 5 who know.
17. See,
I'm like, good for you.
I don't think I really started exploring my sexuality until about 17, but I wasn't a full-blown whore until about like 21. Okay, I would admit
when it happened.
That 21 mark, that's when I was like experimenting. I was going all out, and I was just like, okay, this is definitely something. Oh, good old times. I'm 28 now, so like 7 years ago, I finally started going at it, and honestly, I'm not really sure if I actually stopped. I don't think I stopped my horse ways, but yeah.
I mean, at least I suppose. I mean, being in New York, I mean, that's such a great place to find oneself, I would imagine. But then also,
yeah, it's a vibe all the time.
But then also, did you always have
Victor, chill out.
Conviction? Like, you're like, I know who I am then, because I think a lot of people probably struggle with the realization.
I mean, it's times where I feel as though I kind of wish that I wasn't so open, like far as like everyone's like, okay, do you find yourself settling down with a guy? You find yourself settling down with a girl? My thing is, like, I would love to have children. I do want to have children. I definitely had a long-term girlfriend, but it wasn't nothing. There was no real commitment there. Even when I tried to date guys, it was no real commitment there. It was always just a booty call, a hookup there, blah blah blah. You know how it is in the fucking community, and it's the same thing in a heterosexual community. It's like usually it's just a hookup nowadays. First dates consist of the first nut you get off with them, and that would determine if you want to see them again. It's not conducive, but at the same time,
litmus test.
The thing.
I'd also say, I found it a little hard sometimes. Well, I guess it just depends. If somebody comes from a traumatic past, I would imagine that most people lie to themselves, and they think that they're built for casual sex, and then I find a lot of us aren't.
And then afterwards, it's like you want something more.
Because even before I was married, I kept certain lovers in my life for like a decade. I never really did very many casual things. I would keep one person that every time we came into town, that to me was easier, because I hate job interviews. I hate first dates. I hate all the, and what do you do? Like, I hated the getting to know somebody. All that to me was always exhausting. That's also why, oh my God, I was like, I wanted to complete this fucking book, because I was like, I didn't want to do any of those like jobs that you do to do what you actually want to do with your life. So, I found, even with, having sex with them, it was better to at least keep them be happy for longer periods of time. And some people move away and blah, blah, and then you'd have to start over. It's like getting fired from a job, and then like we have to do the like fake bullshit for the first couple of months and then I would say the only caveat of that though is, although I realized after some time, like, so even after I remember one person, I kept them for probably about, like, I didn't keep them, but I kept in touch with them for about 10 years. But after 5, like, well, we're never getting married. You know what I mean? Like, we're never, like, we have, like,
I'm aware.
Great sex, but, like, this is never going to. So sometimes that was painful because sometimes.
Right. I don't see a future with you.
Like, after a year or two,
My
even
future
after
only
good
extend
sex.
as long as my orgasm. After that, it's like, that's where the FWB, friends with benefits, kind of kick in.
Then
like
I
you
would
respect
sometimes
each other enough to not carry it on.
I would fake date them. I mean, you'd be in the hotel, and then I'm like, oh, do you want to get dinner? Like, I want to do boyfriend thing, which probably isn't what you're supposed to do. But I thought, because like I said, I guess I do like consistency, even if it wasn't, marriage or anything. In terms of like,
I'm getting hot and bothered. It's getting hot in here.
Effect. No, I'm kidding. No. No, but you've had so many at the the art people, like the people that you've interviewed. Don't you find that we're sort of troubled bunch? I mean, we're sort of,
honestly, yes. Actually, yes.
Kind of fucked up.
The actors to the directors, kind of fucked up, and that's where I personally feel as though we're like life, like art imitates life in a sense. I really feel as though like a lot of our challenges are put into that. Sometimes when I act, like I think I would interview. Oh shit, this bourbon is hitting me. Dorizon. He's an actor who worked alongside Bruce Willis, and he was talking about how you really have to be in your craft. It's not almost like a form of method acting, but in a way it kind of is. And it's like to like cry on scene, to be angry on scene, those emotions have to come from somewhere, right? So it's like a lot of those experiences where an actor can cry on cue or a writer can write from the back of their head about some crazy shit. It's typically based off of experiences deep in their subconscious, that they're tapping into. And it's very intriguing because I consider myself a mad artist. Like, people walk into my apartment now and just be like, yeah, you fucking weird. And I'm like, yes, I know. I'm a mad artist. I consider myself a mad artist at times. Not like, not no crazy mad scientist or some Ricky Morty shit, but I definitely consider myself a little bit out there. Yeah,
I don't know. Some art people, they can keep it under the surface. I'm a sort of an emotional oozing scab. I don't know how much I had to draw from my subconscious.
So you emotional? So quick question. So I want you to draw from your subconscious mind because we're about to play a game. Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay, let's draw from your subconscious mind, Mr. Sensitive, because I'm sensitive too. Okay, now, so what the game is typically is, okay, it's called the Dash Stash. Now, the Dash Stash.
Seen you do this. Okay.
Segment. Okay, it's just a hypothetical scenario in which the guest will just fill in the blank, okay? So I'm just going to ask you a hypothetical scenario, and we'll just go ahead and fill it in, okay? Now, imagine, you don't have to be literal. You don't have to be like...
crying.
So you have to be completely right. So, okay, so I'll even go first, just to warm it up, okay? If I could never see heaven, I would rather see blank. Now,
right.
If I could never see heaven, I would rather see my loved ones. Okay? That passed away. Whatever. Okay? That's a little literal, but I don't have to. But it could also be, if I could never see heaven, I would rather see a chili cheese dog. A chili cheese dog dancing. So, for you, camera's on you now, Mr. Gary. Mr. Gary. Can I call you Gary?
My little sister calls me Gary sometimes. But G Money, sure, yeah, whatever.
Okay. G Money, G Money, got you. For you, if I could never see heaven, I would rather see blank.
See nothing. Oh God, yeah. If I could never see heaven, I'd rather be dead in the ground and then not know anything afterwards. Not if I couldn't see my husband again. No. Also, the other thing.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, the other thing too. I also thought in the back of my mind, if I could never see heaven, then I hope hell is just a big ocean. Then I don't know. I always have to live near water. Always have to live near water, so I can't really imagine not seeing it. I hope it's an ocean. I hope it looks sort of where I live. My husband even has relatives in the Midwest, and I was like, well, if we ever like moved there, I was like, well, I better be by a lake. I need a pool with a unicorn in it. Something. There needs to be a duck pond. I need water. If I can never see heaven, I guess I need water. That would be my answer.
I mean, hey, if you in fucking hell, you better have some fucking water. Oh, be bottled water.
Down my head.
Look, let me stop. Okay, so let's move to the next question though. But that's funny you say. I love that. So you're a water guy. I love it. I actually live on the island here in New York, but that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother time. So second question. Okay, I survived blank and accomplished blank.
Here to go. I can answer it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I survived blank and accomplished blank. Go.
I've immaturity accomplished a sense of calm and consistency.
Nice.
As I feel like before I was able to really harness my craft and do what I wanted to do, I would all sorts of things that I weren't always healthy or did jobs I hated. They drank too much at some point, just did a lot of tried to create chaos and things happening because what was happening seemed so far away.
Wait, okay, he's really going into the subconscious, y'all, and I love it. Okay,
that's what we're supposed to do, Doctor.
Yes, that's what we're doing. Okay, so question number 3. Miss me with all that blank because I'm too blank. Go.
Miss me with all that. The only thing I would change would be I would change the word that just so I can complete the sentence. I said, miss my voice because I'm never gonna shut the fuck up. There's so many times when I would like go into like a
okay.
job thing. I'd be like the best seller with the best personality, and then there'd be like a jealous person or boss like, can you turn it down? And now this is here. I'm like, I'm never gonna shut the fuck. That's why I like doing these things, because it's like, oh my god, I get to write and talk, which is all I ever wanted to do. But when you're in a box,
right,
you make money for them, but they're like, oh, can you shut the fuck up? I'm like, oh well, now I don't have to. So thank fucking god. Anyway,
you're only as good as what you do for others, and that's kind of sad. So let's move along to the very, 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 very last question. Actually, no, 2 more. The Dash It Out show is cool. The Dash It Out show is cool, but blank. Speak your shit. No, I'm open to constructive criticism, right?
The show is cool, but he has to have me back on. No.
Okay.
No.
You stay making me blush. Stop doing that. Okay.
I was like,
okay, so
his show's cool, but we haven't seen what he is yet to even accomplish. It's a small nebula that is growing into a mighty sun.
Yes, and it's just growing.
I mean, look at that hair. You just gotta keep add some yellow, some.
Yes, just do its thing. It's kind of like
you're literally glowing. I mean, it's just gonna grow and grow, and so will you. There you go. You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, the very last question for you. You awesome guy. You awesome lad. Okay, let me not get your partner worked up. This is pre-recorded, but still, you don't need to. If I'm listening, be like, was you flirting, Garrett? Is this what you're doing now?
Yes, this is who I am. I'm a little.
Sign up for.
I'm a little old lady on my couch with my vase of purple violets next to me. Ginger Slims.
Okay.
And my mint julep. That's me.
Okay, I know that's right. Okay, so last but not least, okay, because you're such an awesome lad, okay? If I had the world, the first thing I would do is blank because blank. Go.
Had the world? I had all the time in the world.
If I had the world, if you had the whole world to yourself, Everyone's in it, living in it, but you have the world, you have the power, you have the resources, the money. You can do whatever the fuck you want. If you had the world, the first thing you would do is blink because blink.
Travel, probably first selfishly, and then after doing so much traveling, I would find where I could help people the most. Part of why I also wanted to, I don't think writers are necessarily always philanthropists, but I wanted to reach a level of success where I wanted to help people. Conversations like this are
Okay, that sounds fair enough.
the least of things I can do, but I mean, you know, I've gone to schools and stuff and talked, and I mean, I probably want to help. I would want to travel probably first selfishly, but then I mean, there's so many places where I've gone where I'm like, oh, I could clean that space of ocean, and that I could, you know, these kids, you know, with education, and also there's so many places, even in America, that are beautiful, but that there's such a part of a population that's sort of behind an iron curtain of education and access to people like themselves. That's why so many people.
That's so selfless.
So many people who leave those small towns and run to places like San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York, because where they are, it's like they're allowed to read Catcher in the Rye in school. Of being a wallflower, a child who survives, you know, abuse and has PTSD from abuse he suffers from his aunt. And like, why can't a child who's 13 going through something just have access to read and not feel alone? So yeah, I would travel, but then I would see where I've been, looking back, where I could do the most good. I'd hope.
That is so selfless and considerate and very generous of you. So can you just tell the listeners where they can find all your works, because you're deserving of so much more, and you're growing and getting bigger. You become more wise. You have plans. You have a huge light the world needs to see and hear. Okay, so just tell all the listeners, everybody, where they can find all your works.
Well, you can get To Never See Heaven on Amazon and on Kindle. It's in paperback and hardback. Hopefully by the time this goes up, I will have my audiobook done recording. I also have it in Bookshop Santa Cruz and some other local bookshops in Northern California, for those who are close by. I also have a podcast that's recently come out. It's called the Spirit Podcast Show, my Spirit Podcast Show, where we read short AI-generated short stories with a lovely man who's part of the Sacramento Gay Men's Chorus. So you can also listen to that podcast available to you and Spotify. Probably
nice.
That's
all the information.
And then my Instagram is Garrett_Stephen_Garland. Because I post everything mostly there, and to Threads, like when I have a book tour or things coming out like that. So that's enough about me.
Yes, I mean, all the information is going to be linked in the description. I always make it a habit to try to link all the information for my co-host, so the listeners, everybody could just chat. They get tired of probably seeing my fucking face and hearing my damn voice, and sometimes they be like, you know what? I like him, Garrett. Garrett is to watch, Victor is to know. And
yeah.
So no, I'm fucking with you, bad you. But all the information will be linked in the description below, either where the description box is now these days, but typically on the My Dash It Out website, it will definitely be somewhere on the bottom or on the side. I don't know. The website is always interchangeable, but all the information will be there. Well, this concludes this episode of the Dash It Out Show. Let's give a round of applause for my amazing co-host, again, Mr. Garrett Garland. It's been a pleasure, buddy.
Thank you, Dash. It's been a pleasure.
I feel good. I feel like I'm in the service right now. Okay, I just felt the spirit. I felt good.
Yeah, I was like, I should dance more. I would have a much slimmer waistline. Dance more.
Yes, I mean, we should. So thank you to everyone for tuning into the Dash It Out Show. All this information will be listed in the description below. And don't forget to follow us on social media. If you have any questions or concerns or want to just shout out or submit a suggestion or just to talk your shit, go ahead and hit the contact form at www.mydash-it-out.com, and I'll be sure to answer. Until next time, I'm your host, Vic Dash Tour. This is my awesome co-host, Garrett Garland, and we're out.
So much.